Hello and welcome. My name is Seth Campbell, and this is Together We Cast. Thank you for tuning in on this darkest day of the year. Hopefully you're surrounded by warmth and love, and ready to take in a little ease and comfort as we celebrate a not so white anymore Christmas. I, for one, am very grateful to not be stepping out of a brothel on the early mornings on Christmas Day, heading up to the 7-Eleven to get a selection of gift cards and chocolate bars for my children. Lots changed in the past 2 years. On today's episode, we're sitting down with the magnificent Cham. We're going to have a little discussion on surrender and humility. After that, we'll be heading back to the villa to prepare an Italian feast. So make sure to get your favorite color of energy drink in a mug and sit back and take in the show.
Oh gosh, you can really taste the blue. This looks fucking great.
Well, hello and welcome. In studio today, we have the magnificent Cham. I've gotten the pleasure to get to know Cham over the past year or so of my recovery journey, and I thought it'd be great to bring in.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, great to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really wanted to bring you in because I absolutely love how low your bottom was and where you were before you came in. And I was hoping you could help tell our friends at home a little bit about your journey.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna have a bit of humble pie and get rid of the fear of like my future employers seeing this. And I'm available, free agent, and yeah, I mean, it was it's funny because before I get into that, I just want to make it clear that on the outside, my largest bottom was between the years of 2014 to 2019. Mm-hmm. But the experience of like alcoholism and addiction being an issue probably started manifesting like consequences in like 2008.
Yeah.
And before I get into what the later years were, I was no more of an alcoholic in the later years than I was in the earlier years, right? The consequences were different and big enough. So,
yeah, I
mean, monetarily, you could look at, within a 4-year period, upwards of like $2.8 million lost. Went from... Yeah.
Yes.
Hey man, and honestly, like there was a journey, there's a process to really like say, would I do that all again in order to have the life I have today? And the answer is a hard yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went from being a homeowner and a business owner with a lot of people in my life that loved me and cared about me to squatting in abandoned houses, to hanging out on construction sites, to purposely pissing my pants in order to stay warm just for a second, so my hand wouldn't shake when I flicked that lighter.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like, I love it. Yeah. I love it because like in terms of bottoms, like that's it, right? Like lost everything.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just amazing to see like where you're at now.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. It's kind of like you can't see grass grow when you're sitting in the backyard, right?
Yeah.
Somebody actually mentioned to me what they remember when they first saw me come into the rooms about 5 years ago, and made a similar statement as you just did, and it's like it's nice to hear, but I don't see that depth of growth. Mm-hmm. I obviously have experienced a change and a shift, and my environment and everything is a lot more peaceful and like purposeful, but yeah, I don't know. I still kind of feel like it not in a bad way, in a good way, that I'm still that like that like kind of cheerful person.
Yeah.
But people have said I've calmed, and I was like, holy shit! If I've calmed, then what was I like back then? Like, it must have been a nightmare, So yeah, man, it's a pretty cool journey. It's just I don't see it happening because I'm in the frame, right? When you're in the picture, right? You can't see the picture when you're in the frame, so
yeah. Well, I mean, that's why you need help, right? I mean, like, it's hard to see those things. Like, I know I didn't see myself wasting away day by day, bag by bag, and like, I didn't care that, like, when I lost my townhouse, I didn't give a shit.
Right.
I didn't give a shit because I had a car that I could live in.
Right.
And then when I lost that, I didn't care because I had a work van that I could live in, right? And it's like every red line I said I would never cross, I crossed.
Totally, man. It's insidious that way. It's kind of like when somebody has their arm cut off and they're like in shock and they're like, oh yeah, I'm fine. There's blood coming out. It's like, you got a light. I kind of need a hat. They're like joking around.
Yeah.
They don't understand the gravity of their situation. And
oh yeah,
even in like, I'm sure, like one of the biggest things that are going to keep me, if not help me grow in my new experience in life is working with the people who are struggling.
Oh, 100%.
And it's kind of like, okay, so the first step of that process is like, there's somebody drowning in the ocean and they don't even know it's happening. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. And then it's like, you got like getting your teeth fixed and like going to the gym is like this, and they're hungry, right? Getting your teeth fixed and going to the gym is like this sandwich in a waterproof Ziploc, like 40 yards over there. And then there's like a lifeboat that'll save your fucking life 50 yards over there. You can only go to one. And it's like trying to like help them see that you got to grab the lifeboat first. Yeah. And then you can paddle your ass over to the sandwich.
Yeah. And then everything else comes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
it's a tough sell.
Yeah.
It's a tough sell, right?
Yeah.
It's, we go to a lot of the same meetings, so we hear a lot of the same shares, and just that idea of shifting from belief into trust.
Yeah.
Right. That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. It's, for me, I didn't have that trust. I didn't even have that belief that it would work, because I'm a pretty, I go one of two ways. If you tell me to jump, I'll either levitate or I'll dig a hole. I'll either rebel or I'll be a keener. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And, I didn't believe that it would work for me, but the only way I could prove that would be if I did it exactly as I was instructed. So I was like, look, I'll show you, this isn't going to work for me. I'm not going to fade from your plan. Right.
That's awesome.
And I'll show you that it ain't going to work for a guy like me.
Yeah.
And so far it's been working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It hasn't been a perfect journey though, because like, so I was introduced to AA a decade ago.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a self-help, like meeting circle jerk where people cry about their feelings, right?
Yeah.
So I spent a decade doing the gym, teeth fix, better girlfriend, better job thing. And, but when I was reintroduced to, Alcoholics Anonymous with my hat in my hand, and, I was kind of just willing to take some direction, right? Like, I saw a lot of differences between me and everybody else that was in there. If they were brown, they were different. If they were young, they were different. If they were old, I was either, I was Goldilocks in like the opposite way, right?
Yeah.
It was like, like a fucking snowflake. And
terminally unique.
Terminally
like to
unique.
say, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, even when I was loaded, I wasn't the type of guy to like, like smash car windows to get my next, like, fix. Like, and I used to judge those people. Like, I'm nothing like you guys. I only stole from people I love, how insane is that? I only stole from my grandma and my grandpa when he came back from the temple and went into the shower. Like, you guys are pitiful. And yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, man. And but the one thing that I could relate to is like the alcoholism. It's like, like when people drink, they get thirstier, and when they want to stop with every like fiber of their being, they can't.
100%.
And it's like, okay, if it worked for them, then like maybe it'll work for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like the love didn't save me in the rooms, right? Because I got that love a decade ago.
Yeah.
Like people love me, and I never announced myself as coming back because I felt like I never even entered.
Right.
Because I would leave a meeting and I would get loaded every time.
Yeah.
He would have the guy say, give me a call next time you think about it. If you can convince me to do it with you, an older guy.
For sure.
Yeah. You can convince me to do it with you. I'll pay for it and everything else. And I called him. They didn't convince him, but he didn't stop me from finding another way, right?
Oh fuck so,
yeah.
Well, it's just nuts. Like, when I'll say we, but like
sure.
When we're in that mode, like nothing's off the table.
No.
Like anything that comes between me and my next hit has got to fucking go. I'm going to get over, around her, under it, any way I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was adamant at the fact that the problem I had was a result of the negative experiences in my life, right?
Oh yeah.
A lot of people call it trauma. I call it an experience, right?
Yeah.
An experience that doesn't feel good when I relive it, So I want to escape from it. And as much as that may be true, when after the fog cleared and I got into treatment, I was asked a pretty good question. It's like, well, was there ever a time where you weren't thinking about that, like the bad stuff wasn't happening, and you still did it? And I was like, I remembered when I was gonna literally cut the ribbon to open a business I started with 3 other guys, and I almost got arrested the night before. I managed to like slide my way out of it, right? Yeah. But yeah, I had nothing negative going on. I had something great to look forward to, and it still happened. So if that's
it's almost worse when things are good.
Yeah,
I found like, because it let me completely think, okay, I got this.
Yeah,
right. I don't need to worry about this. You know what I mean? And then, sure as shit, I was high again.
100%. That was a pivotal part in my desire to like seek this stuff, because in the treatment center that I went to, which isn't this one,
that's fine,
and I'm sure this one probably does the same thing. Like, because it is real. These negative experiences or trauma, it's a real thing. But for like a guy like me, that's not the reason why. And it opened my eyes to see the truth that it happens when that's going on, and it happens when that isn't going on.
Yeah.
Right. So what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I know from my experience, I used my childhood traumas almost like an excuse, almost like a currency.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I ever got in enough trouble, even as a young kid, I could say that this was what was going on, and people would feel bad for me.
Yeah.
And I used like to manipulate sympathy to get what I wanted, and this became like a survival tactic for my entire life.
Yeah, man. And if you're anything like me, like I didn't know that was happening when it was happening, but in hindsight, I see that's the truth.
Yeah.
Right? So like when my mom passed away, and like I watched her take her last breath, and it was actually kind of serendipitously, is that the right word? Beautiful. Because like I held her like she held me coming into this world in the same building that I came into this world. She left, right?
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of beautiful, but it wasn't. But when it happened and after it happened, and I didn't know that this was going on in my mind at the time, I only reflecting can admit the truth.
Yeah.
I was like, I finally have a good excuse.
Oh my God, of course. Yeah.
And it's like nobody can trump that.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Now I don't feel like such a piece of shit for doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because now I've suffered.
Yeah, I still felt like a piece of shit, but you get the thinking, right?
Oh, 100%.
It's insane.
Well, it's using victimhood again as a currency.
Yeah.
Right? Like this happened to me, so I can trade that for this behavior.
Yeah.
And I was locked into that. I think a lot of people in this situation are. And it's I really like that idea that victims don't heal.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to like do work, like step work, but also to like counselors and therapy that became available to me in my treatment stay really helped me get into that.
100%, man. They got all that inner child stuff and, anger management, all of that's so important. And like that in and of itself, I don't think that I would be sober. Right. Like, it just kind of, it helped me identify what's going on. It helped me identify what I can give to this source, right?
Yeah.
And like, so I don't know if anybody watching or you've done like inner child stuff. So I got to this place where I would see this young version of myself, and there's just this all white, I guess, universe. And then there's this stone cobble little square building with bars on it on a door. And when I finally got to speak to that younger version of myself, the door opened, and he hands me a crayon drawing of a monster. And through that journey of like continuing that work, it went to this little child building this huge house, and having a paintbrush like Mickey Mouse in Fantasia, and like drawing a skateboard and jumping on it and it floating and bubbles got like so that younger version of myself, I started to develop a relationship with it, but I also. So when all of that was happening, I was doing the steps too. And you know how I said, like, I'm going to prove it doesn't work?
Yeah.
One of the pivotal lessons that I learned, because I got loaded almost 9 months after my entry. That's what I was going to talk about earlier.
Yeah.
And again, in hindsight, not when it was happening, but in hindsight, I was like, oh, I was along the thinking that if I do all of these steps, I can keep myself sober. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nothing outside of me. Like, don't get me wrong, there was a God and all of that, but I was the reason why I'm staying sober, because I'm doing this work.
Right.
You know? So it's like this transactional thing with this work.
Yeah.
And then from that, it's easy for my ego to be like, I'm Muhammad Ali, motherfucker.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I finally get invited to my family Christmas party. I wasn't invited for
finally invited.
Yeah. I wasn't invited for like 4 years, and actually one of those years I got a call to tell me when it is and where it is, and that I shouldn't come. And
just in case you showed up,
just so you know, we're having a Christmas party on this day, and I'm like, and you shouldn't come. Like, another reason to get loaded.
Yeah,
and,
perfect.
Yes. And but so I was invited to it. I was looking forward to it. And, you know, another example of like, there's no trauma, right? And, you know, I was looking forward to showing them that I'm not 120 pounds or less.
Yeah.
And the night before I got loaded.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I went on a run for a week, and it was, when it happened, there was a guy in the fellowship. I look at him as I admire this person, you know. I don't admire him because of all the things that he has. Like, the guy, makes bank. He's killing it in life. But I admire him because I saw him at a meeting once when it was pissing rain, and he's wearing a very expensive suit. And while everybody's talking, guys are hollering at girls, men are talking to men, and women talking to women. And he was walking around picking up cigarette butts, not to smoke them, but to throw them away.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, all right, this guy.
That's a good guy.
Yeah.
Well, he gets it.
Yeah, he gets it. And he said to me after, because I called him after it happened, and 5 days after it happened. I didn't call anybody after it happened. and you know, I don't want to ruin my experience. I was doing just fine ruining it myself. But he's like, you're going to look back on this and you say it's the best thing that ever happened to you. And I'm driving on the Sea to Sky Highway to hit the ferry because I wanted to detox at this place I know up in Half Moon Bay. Beautiful spiritual place called Half Moon Haven, little hut on the beach.
Perfect.
And I wanted to turn around, drive to his house, knock on his door, and punch him in the face. Like, how dare you say that this could be the best thing that ever happened to me? And I look back, and it is. And the reason why is because I realized that this is not me keeping myself sober. Yeah. I get to do this thing so something that's bigger than me can do the things I can't.
Yeah.
The end.
Well, and a guy that's picking up the cigarette butts, he gets it, right? It's about humbling yourself and being humbled daily. I have to do this all fucking day long.
Yeah.
Or I'm toast.
Yeah.
Right. And so like now I don't mind, working at a treatment center, scrubbing toilets, driving them around.
Yeah.
Like trying to do my best to help them, but they don't want my help for the most part. I mean, sometimes, right?
Sometimes.
Like I can help them in their recovery, but for the most part, I'm just there to support their sort of material needs.
Yeah, man. And maybe it's just that love that they need. And maybe 10 years later, like me, they'll walk back in here with their hat in their hand if they don't do it this time around, right?
And then they'll see the benefit of scrubbing a treatment center toilet.
Yeah. Well, I think there's, ego is like, it's like hot and cold. They're not two different things. They're the same thing of varying degrees, a thing called temperature, right? And ego is similar in that, some of us have very inflated egos, and then some of us have very deflated egos. There's no, somebody who thinks they're the shit and they're better than everyone else is no worse off or better off than somebody who thinks that they're less than everybody else.
Yeah, it's like it's like the horseshoe theory of ego, right? Like both extremes.
You are here.
Yeah, they're kind of right at the same spot, right? Yeah. Like, and it's just it's hard to get back into that middle zone, right?
100%, man. Proud or grateful, you can't be both.
Yeah.
How can you be proud for something that's given to you? How?
I like that. Yeah.
How? Like and I'd be lying if I said that, you get my first year chip, and I'm like, there wasn't a degree of pride, but it's immediately followed by gratitude.
Yes.
Like, hey, I didn't forget how this happened.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why whenever I'm starting to feel like restless, irritable, discontent, I always read my last 90 days.
Yeah.
What I was doing those last 3 months before I came into treatment. Right. And it's just, that's why I'm here.
Right.
I forget, right? Like living in a van that didn't belong to me, like bottom of the barrel. And when you're living in your own vehicle, you're often pissing into cups and jugs, right? Because you're not getting out.
Dude, I was living in my house doing that.
Yeah.
There's
right? Like surrounded by piss jugs. Like
there's these pasta jars. And they're all, and my buddy came over because I lost my house to the bank. I got foreclosed on it.
Yeah.
And it was foreclosing. And I asked a friend of mine to sell my house, and it was a disaster. And so all these pasta jars sitting on the kitchen table, and he's like, "Is that pig fat? Is that bacon fat?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, yes, it is." And he said, "Gross to that."
Yeah.
Like, what if he knew the truth? Hey, what a nightmare.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But like, I look back at it now, nothing could have happened any other way.
No.
And I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Like I never thought, like at first, I hated hearing it. Grateful alcoholic. Hey, I'm so-and-so grateful alcoholic. No, you're not.
Yeah. Either that or you're
you're not. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because like so much of recovery isn't about abstinence from drugs and alcohol. It's about a complete psychic change. It's about changing yourself.
Yeah. And why would I do that if I could like get cut off in traffic, get angry at my wife, go home, pour 3 fingers of scotch, slam it back, sleep a perfect night, wake up, golf a perfect game, and 100%. Eat a Denny's breakfast?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I wouldn't do that.
No, absolutely not.
So I was forced into this path that makes my sober life better than it was when I was struggling with it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And like in a lot of ways, like I've said this a few times, I feel like I'm a teenager again.
Yeah.
Right. Like I feel like I'm picking up where I left off at, 13, 14, where I started to get heavy into drugs and alcohol. I feel like that's where I'm at now. And like everything's kind of new and exciting and fresh. And
totally, man. I mean, like I love art. I love making art. I used to love poetry. I used to rap, but then I stopped doing that because I didn't like the attention. But I still went back to like writing for God, even though I didn't know I was writing for God. You know what I mean? and then when I got sober, it was actually my intake folder, and I just started drawing again after like years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm knocking this, making some sound effects. After years, and today it's like I get to re-explore that, and the experience is so much better because like when you're not like on mushrooms, or you're not like stoned, or you're not like, because that's when I would still be creative. But when I got into the other stuff, like I ain't doing nothing but like.
Well, it's like a cheat code. I found like for like mushrooms and weed and like psychedelics, it's almost like a cheat code of consciousness.
Right.
And you can get that through like diligent work and meditation, but it takes time and effort, right?
Yeah, man.
And I want it now, goddammit.
Yeah. Or just like the creative like ambition and inspiration to do something. But it's like I got to like grow that through this time. And like I think some of the art that I've done is the best that's ever been,
That's
and
awesome.
It's like, it's like the journey of getting there. And sure, there's these struggles, but it's like kind of like if it's easy, like it's not worth having.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. Like I always wanted to be an astronaut. That's probably why I'd buck a 20 rock. Cause like I can go to the moon with $20, not 20 years of discipline. Yeah. I mean, I'll fall back down to hell in 5 seconds, but at least I made it. Yeah.
Just skimming the atmosphere.
Yeah, man. So what about you, man? Like you came from the film industry, and like what was your journey like into that? Or
into film?
Yeah. How old were you when you started doing it?
I was about 24.
Yeah.
My pot and smuggling days had come to a crashing end after getting a good friend locked up.
All right, let's stop there. Tell me about back your bus up. I'm thinking 90s or early 2000s. Smuggling pot.
Yeah, late 90s. I started up until the early 2000s.
Yeah, 9/11 fucked that shit up.
100%. Yeah, we got in right at the tail end of the golden era.
Yeah.
And and for us, like, it wasn't about being gangsters or stuff like that.
It's about making money.
We just wanted to party and not have jobs.
Right. Yeah.
And we got away with it because like we weren't doing like the violent crop rips. Or anything like that.
Yeah.
So like the police kind of didn't really give a fuck about us.
Right.
And we weren't big enough that any like big gangs cared about us. So we just were able to have this little niche where we floated through.
So did you go to Zero Avenue?
No.
And then go across the border? Or?
No, we went out east to the Kootenays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we had, well, whatever. We'd go to Toronto was our first one, and
you drive out there?
Took the bus.
Oh man, you gotta throw it on a train. It's so much faster.
Well, that's how we got our buddy caught, was putting it on the train.
Okay, fair enough.
No, that all ended. And so, there's basically two ways into the film business, right? You either come from a family with some means to send you to an expensive film school.
Yep.
Or you come the Carney route. And you have a buddy of a buddy get you on set, and you bust your balls.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I got out there. I was like, this is where I belong.
Yeah.
Because it was just misfits and morons, right? And I fit right in.
Yeah.
And I took to it. I worked hard. I did all the volunteering. I did the free stuff.
Yeah.
I volunteered at William F. White's for a week to get the job there.
I love William F. White's. Ed Brando out there. He really supported me.
Yeah.
So going into film was one of the things that I thought I would do to like grow into my passion, because that was the problem. I'm not working in my passion.
Yeah.
Right? So I did a lateral move too.
Working in your passion's not the problem. It's when you start to get paid for it. That's when the problem started.
No doubt.
Because it took me about 10 years to be able to work full time.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's all I did. And then I did very well on film sets.
Yeah.
But I also, I was very passionate about it too.
Yeah. I was curious. Like I was an extra in MI4. It was the first experience with it, but I was more curious about like the business end of it. I'm like, this is a business like any other. I want to figure out how the gears turn. So that's what inspired me.
Yeah. Well, it's it's a lot's coming out in the media now. It's a pretty horrific business too at times.
Yeah.
Right.
What
because
isn't?
You're selling dreams, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many people that want on board.
Yeah. There was this guy, when Canada did some sort of agreement with India as it relates to film, and it was ratified. So there's this big producer who came out here, Mukesh Bhatt, Mukesh and Manish. They're two brothers in Bollywood. So I had the pleasure of driving around Vancouver, and he said so eloquently, he's like, in India people have nothing.
Yeah.
They can never come here, but for 120 rupee ticket, they can go to Hollywood, they can go to LA, and that's what I sell them. Right? I sell them that dream of going around the world when they live in a slum.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, okay, I see why this is. I'm sold.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think we're running out of time here, Cham.
All right.
Man, it was great to have you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. We'll have to get you back another time.
Happy to be here.
I love
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Okay, thank you all.
Peace.
Really taste the blue. This looks fucking great.
Love sitting down with Cham. I could talk to that guy for days. It's especially nice to see those gifts of recovery sort of come back to us, as friends and family begin to welcome us back into their lives. That's literally what the word recovery means, right? We start to get back these things. Now, for our audio-only listeners, this next segment will have some enchanted visuals you will not want to miss. So be sure to check it out on YouTube later. It's Recovery's favorite cooking show, Second Stage Gourmet.
Really taste the blue. This looks fucking great.
Good morning, friends of flavor. Welcome on back to the villa. Today on Second Stage Gourmet, we're going to be taking a trip down to Little Italy. Not to pay gambling debts this time, but to make pizza. And today, our ingredients are honey ham, 1 tomato, pizza mozzarella, an onion, some Caesar dressing, you'll see why later, some mushrooms, oregano, parmesan, and some beautiful chili flake. Now this is the perfect little treat
after a hard day of scrubbing toilets and breaking up fights over who drank the last energy drink down at the treatment center. Now the first step here is going to be bringing the old oven up to temp. Through trial and error, I figured out I like mine at about 390 degrees Fahrenheit. Now it's time to prep the pizzas. Now, after a thorough and searching inventory of the fridge, we're going to add a little personality to old Frosty and Olaf here. First up is that honey ham. And we're just going to get a couple little slices, 1/4 inch thick, and then we just dress the strips on. Nice, just nice little strippers here. But not the kind that we used to play with. A different type. This is ham strips. And we're just building up our little snowmen. Next up, a little bit of onion on there. A little acid to help balance all that fatty flavor from the cheese and the meat. And this time we're just going to take a little bit, nice and bit, just enough to just flavor it a little. And we're going to put these back on old Frosty and Oleg here. Happy little snowman. Happy little snowman. Happy, so happy. And now for an extra burst of that umami, mushrooms. Money's mushrooms. Now we're going to drain them and prep them. We want to get all the moisture we can off that. Back over here, friend. Now what I like to do is just get what I need and just give them a little pat dry because we want to get all that mushroom juice off of there. Now we'll put these happy little mushrooms on our little snowmen here. Do you want to build a pizza? Do you want to be my friend? Cheese. Now we want to use that beautiful block supplied to us by Gordon Food Service. There we go. Cutting cheese now. Do you want to cut some cheese now? Do you want to be my friend?
Oh my God. What the frig is going on here?
I'm so cold, Frosty. I'm so cold.
Tomato.
Okay, Olaf.
The ultimate show topper. We're going to get a knife. It's just... Here we go. Nice and thin. That's all we're looking for here.
I've got a sharp knife for you.
What I like to do, cut them in half again.
Frosty, that's mean. You could be trying to help us.
Now these are ready to go on. These are going to be like happy little faces for our pizzas.
Oh, there it is.
We go. Couple little eyes for old Frosty and Olaf here.
God, look at this freaking
Right?
duck.
Look at that.
Oh,
Do you want to
see.
be my friend?
I can see. Look at
Do
those
you want to make
pants.
some
They're
pizza?
so beautiful.
Bonus cheese.
Yeah. What's
Give it
this?
a little hit. I come in with a little bit of the Parmesan.
Oh,
Just
that's nice. Oh, that's nice.
nice little
Oh,
dusting.
oh, I like this white powder.
Dusted.
Oh, that is good. Let's get some more of that.
Hey, do you guys want to buy some crypto?
Italian flavor leaf. And then we come in with a bit of oregano. And again, we're just doing a nice floury dust. Just a little dust on the top there. That is so nice. There we go. And it makes the faces, makes old Frosty and Olaf here just a little
I feel balanced.
little bit more tucked into bed here. We're going to have a little sleepy time, fellas. And you guys are going to come out looking very different than the only friends I have left. And then, chili flake. Then at the end, I come in with a nice little dusting, nice feathering of chili flake. Just to help spice it up, just to give a little something to it. You know, a little something special. A lot. Remember, this is your playground. You know, I like a medium amount. You might like a lot. You might like a little. Don't be afraid. That is nice. Frosty, Olaf, friendship.
This guy in his pervert pants. Oh, I can't wait to thaw and get right in this guy.
I feel beautiful.
Yeah, we're gonna rearrange his gut.
This is nice.
Now we're going to set the timer. I like to roast it at about 390 for about 17 minutes. But then I got to keep an eye on it because these cheeky little ones, they can finish fast.
That's not what your mother said last night, pants boy.
And now we wait.
Hey, could I get some more of that white powder? I really like that.
That's a great idea,
I feel
Olaf.
like I'm coming down.
Look
here.
at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my kitchen's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the squid? The squid who has everything. Look at this fridge, milk jugs untold. How many waffles can one freezer hold? Looking around here, you'd say I'm the squid who has everything. I got spices and sauces aplenty, mashers and scrapers galore. You want dull knives? I got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. What's happening? I want to be where the normies are. I want to see them drinking, sitting around at those, what do you call them? Patios. Out where they eat, out where they drink, out where they cheers all day just for fun. I want to be, wish I could be part of that world.
Time's up, Squid Boy. Get ready, Olaf.
Oh,
As soon as we're out of here,
now it's
you
time
go
to
right
pull
for
it
his
out?
mouth. I'm gonna get that knife and stick
look at that. That is nice.
That is, get
It
ready.
is nice. Look.
I don't know how I feel about stabbing anyone.
Now is the time on second stage where we plate.
Oh my god.
What's it doing? Pizza off.
Oh,
I like to cut this into little squares.
Oh
Boom.
my god. Olaf, no.
He got me, Frosty.
What's he doing?
Frosty,
Now
help
we're going
me.
to serve with a little bit of Caesar dressing.
What's going on, yeah?
He's putting his white juice all over me.
Oh my god, he's drowning him.
Right? What's more Italian than Caesar dressing?
Oh my god, this man's sick.
We're going to be pairing with a beautiful glass of purple drink. Oh, that is nice. Just look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now let's have a little taste for our viewers at home.
Don't you dare. Don't you
I
dare.
love you, Frosty.
Get him. Ah, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us down here in the basement kitchen at the villa.
Oh, look.
This has been Second Stage Gourmet.
Oh god, this is a travesty. This is a freaking nightmare. This is a freaking nightmare. Look at him drinking.
Taste the blue.
This looks fucking great.
Now that is cuisine. It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of honey ham, mushrooms, and onions to really bring a couple pizzas to life, am I right? That ended very quickly for those two. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Seth Campbell, and from everyone here at Together We Cast, may your holidays be happy, joyous, and free.